Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to the show. I feel like this has been a long time coming.
Hi, how are you?
Hey,
Yes, definitely.
thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. Well,
I'm actually
Here is
really
awesome.
excited to talk to you today. I have so many questions. That's why I kind of wanted to just jump into it before I start babbling.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, totally.
Um, so just I guess to get a little bit of backstory on you guys, um, horror fans, horror fanatics. That
He's
be
the big
Oh
horror.
yeah.
He's the big horror fanatic.
Well, long time horror fan. Yeah, 3 years old, growing up, to watch, sneaking to watch Tales from the Crypt in the living room that was my intro to horror.
that was going to be my first question. Was could you remember the
Okay.
first time you got scared or whatever?
The first time I was ever scared of something horror related was when my cousin showed me The Mangler,
Wow. What age
and
was that at?
I was maybe 7 or 8, and I saw that intro with the lady trying to get her pills, and that just that got me. That got me.
From that point, did that scare you away from the genre, or was there always like a kind of a mystique and interest?
Yeah, it's that morbid curiosity. Once you see something like that, you're like, you either want to conquer it with something bigger or you want to run away from it. But I was just way too into it, because then you also wonder, well, they didn't really die, so how did they do that? And then you get into it, you're intrigued.
I always ran away.
That was going to be my next question. Was not so
I
much
was.
a fanatic.
When I was a kid, I was terrified of horror. The first thing I remember is child's play, being behind my mom, frightened to death. But it wasn't until I met him. I think he's kind of started to desensitize me a little bit, and now I'm finding it. I'm laughing at horror while I look at him, like watch Terrifier 2, this one scene, and
We all know
I
that
I
scene.
knew I was like, oh, he this is close to snuff. Let me look at him. So I'm starting to laugh at horror now because I'm watching him enjoy it, because it's just like you're weird.
Yeah. I would just but
I'm starting to like it a lot more.
I got into, like, early on, watching the behind the scenes stuff, and with Tom Savini and all that, and so, like, I loved it. I was like, it was going to be scary, and I knew it was going to be scary, but you knew you wanted to see how they were going to accomplish it.
And what would you say it is that's kept you interested all this time?
For me, it's fresh horror. I mean, it I'm a lifelong fan, so, like, there's movies and shows that have long since aired that I will always revisit, but I'm
Yeah.
always impressed with how far the horror genre has come, how it survived, and then, of course, now how it's sort of getting in the driver's seat and saying, like, I'm going to take over summer movies now. I'm going to take over, box office. This is our time now. It's wonderful.
And I suppose to follow on from that, then what led you guys to where you are right now? Because I feel like I don't know how I should, I guess, broach this subject or whatever, but I feel like everybody inadvertently knows you guys and knows your work, but may not at the same time. They don't even realize that probably millions of households around the world right now have your work in
You're
their
right.
house.
Yeah. Super exciting. Yeah. Yeah, it gets to that point where it's like, it's that little segue into, like, how we get into NECA. um, which is God, it was a blessing and a curse, just that's what it feels like. Everything is good, but, like, bad things can come from it too. And again, I just want to be careful how I approach it, because I'm a very passionate and emotional person. And so I could say something about how I feel.
Artists.
So it's like, and it might not be addressed the right way, especially considering now, after they sent the cease and desist, and then we responded with, we just didn't think anything was inappropriate or defamation. I'm sorry, I'm not doing my frame, am I? And so it's just like again, it's like it's this ongoing awkward game of playing catch or something, but like you're waiting for the other player to throw the ball.
And so, because I know there's probably certain things, like you said, we have to kind of tread carefully over, but I guess what happens to get to the point where you're even having a conversation with NECA in the first place? I mean, how did you guys originally get this entire thing going, like the studio and everything, to even get to that point? Because it seems like such a and while we may talk carefully about some things that are not so good about it, for a lot of people, I think, who maybe want to follow in your footsteps or do something that you guys are doing, getting to work with a company like that seems like, something on another planet.
He did this all from his bedroom back in the day.
Gosh, I mean, that was just a long time ago. I started Moody Pudding way back, like maybe 2017, which maybe that's not too long ago. Maybe, God, I don't know.
That was before my time.
I think. But anyway, it was some time ago, and I was just sculpting like a Chucky and a Tiffany at the time, just for fun, because I just was like, oh, I want to make these characters, because I haven't, Spencer's offered the dolls, but it wasn't like the quality that you'd want from the movie or something, And so I'm like, maybe I can do this. I had the aspiration, but I didn't know if I had the talent behind it at the time. But I just wanted to see if I could do it. And, and then you like what you see and you show it online and people like it too. And then you're like, well, I can maybe make a company out of this, like a little studio on Facebook. And selling my essential oils. But no, it started to grow. Like I was like, oh, maybe I am good at this. And then shortly after that, I met my friend. I don't know if he cares if I address him on here. Rob, who he's on the box. So I guess it doesn't. Like that's how it association with NECA. That's how it worked out. He and I met through my sculpts, and he just liked what I did. And then a few years down the road, I was with my ex-partner, Michael Venz, who also helped me work on these dolls for NECA. But Rob set us up, I think, with Randy. And so Randy, there was like a little time in between Rob telling us, would you guys be interested in doing this for NECA? And we said, of course. And a few months went by, and we were like, well, I don't know if this can happen, or if this is like, we're small, potatoes or whatever. And suddenly we got like the email from Randy, asking if we wanted to turn like our sculptures into like mass produced, for the world and blah blah blah. Like, would you? And we were like, of course, we'd be interested. That's awesome. We're waiting to hear from you. This is amazing. Blah blah blah. And that's where it all started. And we did some really great sculpts for them. But that was the unfortunate part is that Michael Venz helped us, or Moody, but he helped severely sculpt these dolls like intensely, and so like because he's not a part of Moody anymore, there's no reflection of him in that work now, and so like that's also an issue. And it doesn't matter if like we're exes or something. It's like, well, that's an artist's work who doesn't work for this company. So that was another like weird sort of mistake about like our names not being credited on the boxes, is that there's a lot of confusion, and then there's some people who, if you're not under the umbrella of Moody, you have no credit, so like that was another issue that I was worried about.
And because I think there's a lot of people in the community right now who are curious about the situation, and I understand that there's probably things that that you can say or not say. So originally, when this whole thing was decided, uh, what was the impression that you were under about what was going to happen about creating these sculpts and how you were going to be represented, whether it be on packaging or going forward?
Yeah, so like a lot of this is in actual emails. Um, you know,
That's how he wanted credited, and the only thing he asked for was the sculpt.
yeah, I mean, we specifically said sculpted by, and then, and in fact, it was so specific about it being on the boxes that we put his name, Michael Venz, would be first on Chucky, since it showed, who put more work into what piece, and then I would be represented on first on Tiffany's box. And so it was like, so it was to that point, that understanding. And they put it on the websites, I guess. You can scroll through Google when you Google these dolls, and you can look, and it'll usually show in that description, like Entertainment Earth or what have you. Sculpted by Eric Fidrum and Michael Venz of Moody Pudding Studios. And you'll always see it in those descriptions, but it's like they slipped it away to not use it on the box, but credit in these descriptions or something. It's really strange. But then again, the thing that comes back to is, what about people who don't work for Moody anymore?
And let me see, because I don't want to make this more awkward or confusing than it needs to be, but I guess if you could say, like, I don't know whether in your opinion, or can you see a reason for that even? Like I've kind of, I think a lot of people, like I said, in the community are aware of what's kind of gone on, without having the specific details. And it just seemed like a very strange move, or like a strange thing to do. It didn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, I thought it was going to be a good, sort of neat partnership, because even past, or like during COVID, I emailed them and asked them, like, hey, is there anything like I can do while, like, there's nothing going on, that maybe there's upcoming projects that I can get a start on, or is there anything else you guys need? And, funnily enough, when I mentioned that I had the teeth trays for the dolls, like, the reason why all the dolls have separate teeth in them and heads is because I asked them, I have those teeth, do you want those? And this was years after. This was during COVID, so like this was already after everything was said and done, so to speak, during that phase with Michael Venz and blah blah blah. So that they got back to me for the teeth, so I sent those, and they didn't respond to any of those other emails. And then it just I remember like retweeting something on Twitter's, or on NECA's Twitter, with one of the employees or something, and I said, it was great to work with you guys, congratulations. I didn't get anything from that. And I'm like, okay, I understand I'm small, but like, am I that small that it just felt like I was getting like fizzled out. It was really strange.
See, you say that about about the small thing, and a couple of times you've referenced that, about maybe being a smaller studio or company, or people could say, well, it's just one or two people, or it's just a handful of people. And then the other argument that, and I would agree with this, and I think a lot of people in the community have this mindset, is without that, we wouldn't have the doll.
Right.
In the way it's represented. That's my thing.
I don't understand why they just couldn't give him the correct credit. They didn't credit him for anything inside the box for some reason.
It's very
weird,
bizarre. It's just like,
and then not answer our emails for the past 6 months, and the first time you answer is in August with a cease and desist.
Right, and then and that was even more uncomfortable, because
We're just doing what every other artist is showing their work and what they have done so far, and like I think this is what is going to make Eric big, but they've been trying to weasel him out, it seems.
It's not even about that. It was just like, I just wanted that to be credited for
in your portfolio.
I worked so hard. I mean, I don't know what happened after I sent everything. I mean, I sent them the paint masters. I sent them the mold master, the pieces for them to actually use to mold, and then the paint masters for everybody to replicate from the paints on those. I put everything in. Mike and I both did that. We put everything in from like all, where to lay the wigs so like it wouldn't get messed up when they sent it to the factories. I made sure to leave in Tiffany's brows because I wanted those to make sure they got painted where they were supposed to be painted.
Wig samples.
Like everything, the bottom of Tiffany's boots, I sculpted every single one of those treads. And then you have to do the right shoe. It's like, I worked really hard to do that. So it's like,
it just sucks for about to be credited for
inside
the box.
To not see. It's like, why? What? Yeah.
And I'm not sure even if you can answer this question, but when you get contacted then with this cease and desist, that's in reference to what exactly? Like you speaking out about what's going on? Or
yes, exactly. Yeah,
they're claiming it's defamation, our posts are defamation, when all we're saying is, hey, you didn't send the agreement like you promised in 3 emails. You didn't send, I can't even think right now.
No, it was like it was just things that we would write. They're there on our page, and we wrote them with like obvious emotional understanding, obvious, because everything is there. We don't put anything on in our business that we wouldn't want anyone to, it's our baby. So it's important to us. And then, so we're going to list our facts in truth. And so when you get a cease and desist for that,
then you become a little defensive.
Well, you start to wonder what is, okay, it shakes you. It does. But it also makes you wonder who's really in the wrong here. Holy shit. So it's scary. It's scary.
This is my personal opinion, and I've seen this mentioned by other people several times. And this is in no way to try and put words in your mouth or to, if anybody is looking at this isn't something that you guys are saying. It's my personal opinion, and I've seen lots of people agree that, to me, when looking at this situation, I couldn't understand why you wouldn't want to give the proper credit in any way, shape, or form, unless you were intending on just trying to like push it to the side and be like, because in my mind, like, this is as good as just putting sculpt by NECA.
Right. It's funny actually. The product developers are listed as the designers, credited on the box as designers for some reason, when I could have sworn they were designed after the prototypes that Eric made also.
Like because like designer can mean something that they did. Right. That's true. So like
right.
But like again,
the hairstylist was credited.
Then why not list us under design as well?
Right.
Something. It doesn't have to be. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't want to say. I can have my ideas, but they're ideas. That's it.
And I think a lot of them are founded, to be honest with you, because in my opinion, to me, from the outside looking in, it seemed maybe like, I don't know, maybe they thought they were just going to take all of this stuff and just like pull the rug and go, oh yeah, look at this thing we made and it's all us and it's all in-house. And like, it just seems really, to me, it seems really shitty. And it's like, okay, you could make the argument, well, it's NECA, they would have went ahead and made, dolls regardless. And it's like, okay, but then why would we have had any interaction if you didn't need the stuff we done or didn't value what we done, and then you couldn't even credit correctly, and then you're doing all this weirdness? Like the cease and desist thing for me, I think was the biggest thing where I was like, wow, that's like that to me is like a step away from spitting in somebody's face. I'm like,
Yeah.
are you for real?
Yeah, Eric made like they did $3,000 their first run, and times that by 400, that's $1.2 million, and then now they're doing another run, which is amazing. But like the person behind it from the beginning, before NECA even had this, is
What struck
just sitting here.
what struck me was in like the email, or the whatever, it said something along the line. One of the things said something along the lines of, or she said it. Their attorney said that she has the emails or can view the emails or is aware of them or something. And again in my head I'm like, okay, if you're aware of those emails and you're still sending me the cease and desist, there's something wrong here. Like, again, there's no way to flip it. There's like,
It's awkward.
it's awkward,
And it makes
it's
us look
weird.
crazy because we're so passionate about it. Because like it's Eric's his life's work, and like this is his biggest achievement in his life. That's what he set out to do from his bedroom, was to get something of his mass produced, and it just hadn't happened, and it's just been sad ever since they released him and didn't give him credit.
I mean, yeah, the things we post too, we advertise NECA. We never tell people not to buy the dolls. You know, we
want them to, because that's just a little piece of Moody inside other people's
Yeah.
houses also.
So like, but again, there's nothing harmful, and there's nothing you can find that really truly in my opinion, that would be considered defamation in anything we've posted. Everything is from our heart. Everything is fact based.
Yeah, in my opinion as well. Like, and again, look, I know a lot of the attorneys and law firms and stuff that represent these companies are like separate entities in the sense that they're just there to make things go away or fix things from their point of view. But like,
Right.
to me, the least, that they like sending a cease and desist is like, okay, well, so we haven't credited, we haven't done this, we haven't done that, we haven't stuck by what we said, considering that everything you've given us to be able to do this, and now we want to stop you from being able to let people know yourself that this is what you've done. Like, it just seems like that seems like a really shitty thing to do. It's like, okay, we haven't, okay, so let's accept the fact that the boxes have been made, it wasn't credited the way it was agreed, you've done all the shitty things. Okay, so let's just say that they admit that and they go, okay, well, we can't do anything about that, we can't go back in time. Okay, fair enough. But then to be like, okay, we also don't want you to talk about the fact that you actually basically made all this happen. There's a reason, like, in my opinion, if NECA didn't need what you have to offer, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. So therefore, then, why do we need to stop you from saying that? I mean, it's like you guys just said a second ago, like it's your life's work in a sense. It just seems like a really strange thing then to ask somebody to, oh, also, we don't want to talk about it, and we also don't want you or anybody else to talk about it.
Right. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's very, very, very weird.
Yeah, even they even said, like, and again, as far as my knowledge, and I Googled it, you can talk about publicly, you could talk about cease and desists. And they told us we weren't allowed to share it, we weren't allowed to forward it. And I'm like, what is going on?
Social media is made to tell your story, and that's what everyone else is doing.
It's like,
following suit.
Holy shit.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know. Just for me, the whole thing seems really weird. It's like a case of now it just seems like, can you just shut up and go away? Is essentially.
What it seems like.
Yeah, that's essentially like that. That sounds really rude, but I think that's how they're looking at it, in the sense of like, okay, we just need you to like shut up talking about this, and we just don't want to hear about it ever again, and just let's pretend. Because this story has kind of gotten bigger, I think, with the fact that these dolls have been so popular.
Yeah.
And I know even over this side of the world, like, it was such a hard time to get these things. And then obviously the fact that, like you said, if you do simple maths, 1.2 million, and now we're going to do a second run. And I don't think it'll stop there, to be honest.
Right.
I don't think.
If they're allowed to make them and they're going to have such a high demand like they say they have, I mean, I would keep making them if I were them,
Right.
If you're making a million
I
plus per run.
I mean, I'm glad that they're successful. I guess we all, both parties knew they were gonna be successful, but like that was the point. It was this collaboration. I was like, I thought I was
a part of.
I thought I was privy, but too, yeah, but like you just end up coming out feeling foolish, and like I feel foolish because it's not like big business, I feel foolish because there's people that I reached out to that just, they just don't respond. And it's more than just a NECA email. And so it just, yeah, you try to just like not go down those paths in your mind. And it's like, it's hard. It's hard when, it's hard when you're not prepared. You've never really done that kind of big thing before, and you do it, and you don't have that sort of thickened skin of, being like in the business. So it's like your first big business wound, but you weren't ready for it. You know what I mean? It's like, ouch.
And where, I guess, so from your point of view, then, where does that leave you now then going forward? Like where, I guess, where do you see your guys going from here, or what would you like to do? Would you like to work with a different company? Is that something you would like to avoid? Because I think there's an opportunity here as well. This thing with the cease and desist, in my opinion, just seems like utter bullshit. But like, I think that was a good opportunity to be able to spin this thing, and then have maybe, I don't know how the infrastructure and the logistics of that, but like to try and push people more towards you directly.
I mean, our goal, I mean, of course, like I would love to the opportunity to work with other companies. It's just like, there's so much that goes into it. It's like the idea of it haunts me, and it's like, our dream for our company was to grow and to have enough of investment and capital to hire people like us and to give them their credit, their name, their individuality and creativity as an artist, whether it's from their home or whatever. That's our goal. That was like, and that's just a small point of of what we want. But like, I think that's because like we both want to be like the giver person. We both want to give, and I think we've both been hurt. We both know that feeling. He's been hit by a car, and more things that there's just so much stuff we deal with, but we're still alive and we push through it.
We do it all day, every day. We just create, whether it be him sculpting or me editing a video or making one of his baby Glens or
getting everything.
I started working on these ghosts that are cute, and he's working on a couple side projects coming up.
We utilize every bit of time we can for this business, and we, getting every order we can out. We just do everything we can. It's just like, it's been hard. And of course we had to move too, and we had a friend that we knew for a very long time, a very close friend that ended up turning into a landlord and turning into more of a slumlord, turning into a court thing. We just had to deal with that.
On top of NECA, it's been crazy.
Yeah, so it's like when you just tell people these things, it's like, no, this happens.
This doesn't feel like real life. There's so much going on.
I had to put that case together, and I'm like, I will go to court if I have to, fine. And I was ready, and she settled, and so it's like, okay, is this the universe telling us, like, expect more case, expect more court? Like, oh my God. It's been a nightmare.
It's strange, I think, because from the outside looking in, a lot of people would assume, and I've had conversations definitely like this in the past with different people. I think it happens a lot in the industry with like the serious creatives, like screenwriters, writers, and stuff like that, where they kind of get cast aside, or maybe somebody takes a treatment and just like whew, they're just gone, and then they just use that, and nobody ever gets credited. I think from the outside looking in, a lot of people would look at that and go, "Oh, you know, you guys are, you know, you've worked with NECA and you're doing these dolls, and they're in every household in the nation. It must be great. You must be, you know, on a yacht, sipping a cocktail, and everything is great." And it's just not the reality
No.
of how it actually is.
I feel like more and more people are starting to understand that it isn't like that.
I keep telling him to,
But-
like, yes, we're a business, but let's show people we're people too, because that's what we are first. Are people just like other people, trying to follow their dreams.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to show people that once you make it, you can still have your dreams broken.
Yeah.
You don't want to present that image.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
don't.
But you also don't want to hide it, because in this day of age, 2023, I don't think on such a big scale as this project continues to be. I lost my train of thought.
It happens.
It's just a lot.
And I know you probably don't really know, but like, where does this go from here then? Like in I guess in your mind, is there any resolution in your head that would make you at least, I guess, somewhat happy about the situation? Like, is there anything that can be done that, you know, would make you feel better about what's gone on?
We're always going to be positive for the future. I know we just know it's going to get better and better from here.
I mean, yeah, NECA, again, this is a big deal thing. This is a big thing going on and everything, but it's still just a thing. You know, like, there's going to be a million things that come down the road. There's going to be a million things that come when I reach the age of 55 one day, hopefully, you know. But it's just current, and it's hard because it's hard times. And there's a lot of people that were counting on things to be the way they were promised, and they weren't happening. You know, they didn't turn out that way. And so it's just more than just, that's not fair, you know.
Can you see them correcting it for this second run, or do you think they're just going to go with the same thing?
I personally would be shocked if they didn't correct it.
I don't think they would. I mean, again, I can't say one or the other, because I don't know what they'll do, but I mean, that would be very noble of them, I guess, you know. But I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know, because I don't know what's to come with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what comes from that. I don't know.
And I guess to dive a little bit more into you guys specifically. So I guess in layman's terms, what does it look like from the point of view of, from the point that somebody orders something to the point they get it, like that process for you guys daily? What does that kind of look like in basic terms?
Before we got our website, I would just talk to everyone on through Instagram and take their baby Glenn information, how many they wanted or whatnot, and if they wanted to customize any, and then I would make them. I've gotten a little bit behind now, but we've been trying to find help to help us with our full-size dolls for Chucky and Tiffany, and it seems like everyone we find that wants to help us is excited in the beginning, and then nothing ends up happening. So it goes back to the finding someone again. It's been a challenge with just two people,
and with them, yeah.
I'm disabled physically and have mental disorders, and he has some mental problems, and it's like
Mental
when it's
problems.
just
I am a little agoraphobic.
yeah. So it's hard for us to like get things done when it's just us two, but we do it as fast as we can, and we always talk to our clients, and we're like, hey, I'm sorry it's taking us so long, and they understand that we're just two people trying to.
Yeah, I think that transparency is really I think it's a breath of fresh air, because I think a lot of people like to do this like airy fairy kind of bullshit about, you get the generic like, we're sorry, our processing times are blah blah blah, and then if you try and get in touch, you just get that same thing.
Yeah, me, I'm like, I am so sorry. Don't hate me, but things have just been crazy, and I'm a little bit behind. But I definitely will get there. I know that for sure. We both will with all our stuff.
We do. We've gotten through a lot. It's like hard not to think about going through it now in my head, but we have gone through a lot.
Yeah, if you look at our Instagram, you could just go back from the past year and a half and just see how much we've worked with Baby Glenn and other clients, and having fun with what we're doing.
And so how does that work now with doing Chucky and Tiffany and things like that? And then so when you give the sculpts to NECA, does it have to, how much does it have to differentiate from what that is, or is it the same thing? Because I can never really understand how that works with a company when they take the sculpts or something.
I'm not sure what they do once they get it. Because again, like when everything I sent out, COVID hit, and my partner and I split, and I made NECA aware of that, so that if there was any confusion or anything, that I just wanted them to know what was up to date, and skip to oh gosh, coming later on, coming up with Mark and everything. Oh my god, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm going through so many dates. Oh my gosh.
No, you're fine. My question was more so centered around, like if somebody wants a Chucky doll from you guys right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like what has to change, or can you, like obviously NECA took a lot of your work to mass produce this thing. So then, does something you make now have to like differentiate vastly from that, or how does that work?
Oh,
there is no agreement set.
Yeah, again,
so we have no idea what's within our rights when it comes to that. There's
there's a contract, but there's no contract. There's a contract, but there's no contract. Attorney says that doesn't need to be a contract if there's an agreed and an offer and agreement, but then
there's no agreement.
If that becomes true, then those emails are contract.
Yeah, I can see how that gets messy, and I mean, looking forward into the future, I know you guys have got a lot on your plate right now, and you're probably inundated with people asking about different things. But I guess to look forward in the future, like where do you want to take the studio and the work and the creativity? Is there other properties or IPs that come into your mind that you would love to give a go? Is there maybe original ideas that you guys are working on, that's something that you'd love to flesh out more?
There's always, yeah, all of the above. We can't think of enough. I'm so pissed because I was just almost getting built up the Angry Princess from 13 Ghosts a year ago, and then I melted the damn clay down because we were going to make something new, and now what's hot? 13 Ghosts is coming out with a TV series, and I'm like, son of a bitch! So that would have been cool. But we were doing that. I'm sculpting something original, but it's not. It's actually a little weird. I don't know if it's behind me. If the camera can pick that up. I don't know if you can guess what that is.
If I can get the camera on it. There we go.
You're working on this currently, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
explain what it is.
It's just a Starbucks weird
A creepy,
That's-
cute
creature.
Starbucks character.
And that
But
will
that-
live in the form of like a bust, a statue, a figure.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could. I mean, you could cast anything on like this, either silicone, resin. It could be any. Really
Yeah.
made. Ow! Ooh, you almost
Sorry.
caught me with the chair. Sorry.
Sorry.
You could cast it in anything. Yeah, if you make it whatever.
Is there anything when I asked that question about existing IPs or properties or characters that jump out that you'd like to work on, is there something for both of you that pops into your mind straight away when you hear that? As in something like, oh, I'd really love to try that character. I'd love to try that,
He's
monster
been
or whatever.
working on a Crypt Keeper for
Oh god.
years and years and years. I've seen so many Crypt Keepers, it's not even funny.
I want to do so many different IP
He has so
characters.
many
Though.
different.
I mean, everything something weird from like Debbie Jelinski from the Addams Family Values to, oh god, what's her name? I should know, right? Is it Julie from Return of the Living Dead 3, where she's the girl with she's sticking the things in her ears and stuff. I love that character. I'd love to sculpt her. I mean, I never not want to sculpt something. Yeah, and I usually use monster grade hard because I'm like, oh, the sculpture, if it falls, it won't get nicked or whatever. But I'm using water-based clay back, again, and I'm obsessed with it. And it's so nice on your fingers. It doesn't hurt. So I don't know. I might knock out more sculptures.
From hearing you just talk about that for the last like 60 seconds, it's already like I'm surprised that you made some of the references you did, because I think a lot of, especially these bigger companies, don't realize how many people out there are looking for things like that. Like you mentioned Debbie from Addams Family Values. Somebody from like the mainstream would see that as a really specific reference, but I think anybody who is into horror or Halloween or anything like that, that would seem like a major character that everybody knows. And like I've seen that time and time again. Like, I mean, even Trick or Treat Studios done a run of the professor from House of a Thousand Corpses. I mean, like, he's in the movie for 60 seconds.
Right.
And the fact that that's happening, it just, I don't know if it gives me hope that like these studios or these companies will actually work with creators to get these things made, or it's a case of, see, it's fine for me. I know there's probably a lot of people screaming right now, saying like, well, why don't you guys just make them? And it's like,
It's harder.
yeah, like in theory, yeah, that's great, and I would love to say that to you as well. But then when you think of the logistics of like bringing all that together and then being able to like, I don't even want to say mass produce, like, but even to make hundreds of these things on a run is not just as simple as just doing it.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Oh God. There'd be yeah. I don't know. It depends.
If he had all the time in the world, he'd crank out things.
Oh yeah,
left and
it's
right.
the hard thing too is mold making, and it's just not. It's not fun, and you might know some of that, but it's not fun. It's not my favorite thing in the world.
And a question for both of you: how
Yeah.
did you get into, I guess, doing what you do and being interested in that stuff? Like, where did that start from, or where did that come from? Because it seems like, I think, like I said, from the outside looking in, people may just look and go, oh, they've always just done that, and you just wake up one day and you just know how to do everything. The same as like somebody might make a movie, or they might have a really popular YouTube channel or whatever, and people, I think, just assume that they just woke up one day and they just had that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have always loved the stuff that I love. Like, I mean, that's never really. I've always been a consistent person, so I've had a long time to work my way up to the things I want. It wasn't like, oh, I tried basketball and that failed. Right now I'll try piano, that failed. I kind of always knew what I liked, and I just rode that wave. And I just joined in the party, and we sculpt something and you throw it out in the wild, and people love that, and it just gets attention, and so you work upon that, and I mean, I didn't know I was going to be a sculptor. I always wanted to be an actor, but I just never had that sort of.
He's too shy.
I never had the gumption. So.
And then I didn't get started until about 2 years ago. My car broke down, and I was like, "Hey, we're engaged. Mind if I step on your toes and just like, since you're not using your Instagram account, do you care if I learn how to make these baby Glens and I take over your Instagram account?" So he was like, "Sure," like, cause like I'm disabled, so therefore I can't like really work a regular job. So all I did was DoorDash, and so when my car broke down, I was like, just said, "Hey, can I step on your toes a little bit?" And he's like, "Yeah," and so
He glorified Moody with
I learned how to take
social media,
baby Glenn, and use social media and try to get his name out there more. Since at the time we didn't know if the dolls were even going to be released from NECA, because it had already been 3 years. I'm like, oh, this big deal he was talking about when we met wasn't such a big deal after all.
It was like the last thing I was worried about was my name not being on the box.
Yeah.
It was that weird of a thing. It was just like, oh, the dolls might actually get canceled.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no,
It wasn't until I saw his name wasn't on the box, I was like, oh God, how do I tell him this? His name's not even on the box, but the person who helped him, who's friends with NECA, the product developer from NECA, his name's on the box, but the person responsible for it all isn't. That was kind of hard to break to him.
There's weird things on the box I don't understand, and like everybody deserves their credit. I'm glad that there's people on those boxes, but like there's things like hairstylist. Hairstylist is on the box. They took away sculptor.
If you
Why
try
would you
to find a NECA box that doesn't list a sculptor by name, and it's very hard to do. I haven't found one.
I'm like so like again, I don't want to dwell on it. I don't want to dwell on it, but like I'm just dumbfounded.
It's weird.
I'm dumbfounded.
It always leads back to that for some reason.
It is. But it's a really strange situation. It's a frustrating situation, and the reason I wanted to talk about it a little bit was not so much to make it doom and gloom, but more to kind of clear up a lot of like how, like it's, because I personally don't think this will be make or break for you guys in any way, but I think, initially looking at it, it could feel like that. When I first saw the story and what was going on, I was like, oh, so you've basically fucked up someone's career then, is what you're trying to do, and then you're trying to hide the fact that you've done that. But I don't think I don't think that's the case now, but it's still not right. I still don't think it's good enough to go, from their point of view, well, look, you're gonna be able to go on and do all these other things. You're obviously a really good artist, so you'll be fine. I still don't think that's okay. Like that shouldn't be, that's like if somebody punches you in the mouth and then you find out you're going to be okay after a week, but it's okay then. It's fine. I punched you in the mouth. Just get over it. It's like, that's not really good enough. When did you find out then? So there was no communication to you about like, oh, by the way, this is what the finalized box or whatever is going to look like. Was it just a case of you got one of these things and just looked at it?
No, we didn't even get one.
No, and in fact, I did not get any update. I received updates from a friend, not from NECA, and I was also told not to like show those, and of course I wouldn't have shown them to the public. But I was also wondering why I'm not seeing them, and I'm like. It is just so odd.
It's awkward for sure.
So yeah, there was
You would never like, I know time and time again we've seen about big companies that they do shady things, whatever. But in a lot of ways, like, you would never think that the communication would be so like
not there.
Yeah, it's just like not organized in any way, shape, or form. And to think, that. Oh, it'll be fine, we'll just make this go away or whatever. It's like, do you not realize, especially within the horror community, the community doesn't just go away. So,
Right.
which I think is
It
a
was
really
like
good thing about it, and that
conflict.
I think that was key in what you guys were doing with getting the message out there. I know obviously now it makes it a little bit more awkward and confusing with the whole cease and desist, but I think that that was something that you guys have been quite clever with, in the sense of, like you had said earlier about being transparent and showing people that you are real people. I think that's key because the community gets behind that, because it's just other people, and then for them to expect that this is just going to disappear. Oh, it's fine, just go away.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, again, everything that is like documented is documented. So like that is irrefutable fact, like evidence or whatever. Like you again, like that is something you just keep bumping into. So it isn't, it isn't like we would go up and just like they believed, Starchase being defamatory. Everything that happened because now we are trying to fight back and use our truth and our words to get them to understand what is going on that we cannot explain in email. And their resistance only fuels our urge to fight back harder,
it's just another underdog
but
story.
it also goes to show how hard they are working to try um, to cover it more and more, in my opinion. And the more they do it, in my opinion, the more we have to say, look at this, this is another thing. This is now another ridiculous thing. Now this is another ridiculous thing.
As long as we're not lying, I think we're okay to say whatever we want. Really.
Yeah, I mean,
as long as it's true. And
again, like, I mean, the next step would be for them to say, like, all right, well, because they didn't respond to our email.
any of them.
About, well, our last email in reference to the defamation, or the cease and desist. And, which was just basically, we don't believe we're doing anything wrong, we do it professionally. And we're going to continue to tell our story, blah, blah, blah. We didn't get a response back from that. So we're assuming their next, game plan would be to sue us or to send us like a thing that says we're getting sued by them or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but this is where we are in the dark all the time with this, and it's daunting, but it's also proving to us what we can handle.
And that was part of the reason why I wanted to do this, because I just think it was extremely unfair to try and, discredit you guys, in the sense of just being like, oh, it's fine, they'll just go away, we'll just make it go away. I just don't think that's right. And I think, like you said, for me personally, sending a cease and desist shows, I think, what the intention was. And what the intention has been. I mean,
Why would you take down?
yeah, like really, like, so, you know, for a company of that size, let's just say you guys were talking a bunch of shit and none of this happened. What would you even reference it if you were NECA? No, you wouldn't. So you've only got an issue now because something that's gone on has come to the public forum and you don't want it there. So now you want to backtrack and get it taken away from there. And I think that's just like a pressure tactic of being like, is to be totally honest, and I've seen this with multiple people. I managed to get my hands on the Chucky, and then maybe a few weeks after that, I seen everything that was going on. And so much so that I would have rather just give the Chucky back and just not.
No, I hope not.
In the sense of not, it pains me to like support a company like that if that's like where they look at how they look at the creative and the artist aspect of it. If it's that easy to just be like, we'll just dismiss you.
I mean, that is so. I am in awe of that. I mean, that's amazing. But at the same time, I would never want anyone to give up something that they want. Even like, I mean, even in this sort of climate with this situation, because I'm glad that people get to have that. I mean, yeah, there's that pride. I'm trying to figure out where to go with this again. I'm sorry. Um, I'm happy that people get to like chill with that doll. Like they love that they get to have that now. That's awesome. Um, at the same time, it's like I just want to talk to, you know, everyone else in the kitchen. And now that's where I'm at. Because like, it's all the behind the scenes stuff. It's just all the nastiness, and you know, people don't like whistleblowers. They don't like the people who like come out in Hollywood about stuff. Lose their agents and then they lose work, and at the cost of being true to yourself and true to the public. That's sometimes that happens. And so, like, is it a victory? Maybe, yes, but at the same time, there's still a lot of that loss because, I'm sure a lot of the public is looking at you like, well, again, what did you do, or did you do something, or who cares? You're so small. They don't care. Or what? All these things you hear, and it's like, at the end of the day, I got to do what's right for our business, for us, and for again, people who weren't credited, who no longer work with Moody and stuff. I mean, I would be so upset. I would be so upset, and so, I don't know.
I personally think what you guys are doing is the right thing to do, and I think using social media to do that as well is like the perfect way to go about it, because that's how people consume everything. It's and but you see, and it's one of those things where I would always probably push back against that, but I think we see time and time again. I mean, how else? Because if it was left up to some of these structures we already have, nobody'd ever find out about this.
Right.
They have such a big infrastructure that I just want you to go away because you're not with the narrative anymore. So you're just going to go away now, and I'm going to make sure that happens. Whereas I feel like with social media, it's too much of like, it's in the public forum and your people will find you, and then that doesn't necessarily mesh well with maybe, if you're having a back and forth with somebody like you're having right now. And I definitely think it will only stand to you down the line that this has gone on, to be totally honest. I think it probably sounds a bit weird to say now, but I feel like that this will end up maybe being a blessing overall, that this all panned out the way it did.
That's all we can hope.
Yeah, and I really do think that is the case. So like going forward then in the next, say, 18 to 24 months, what's the, obviously without revealing anything that you guys are working on in the background or whatever in specific, but what is the outlook? What's the goal, I guess? Not just with this situation. I just mean in general for you
In
guys.
general, I want to grow our studio a lot because we've only been using social media for the past year and a half. And I've been watching a lot of creators just start from the bottom and work their way up. And all they do is camera and go bloop, take off their shirt, and then walk away. And then it's like, well, if they can do that, let me try doing this with him and see where it takes us. If it can take other artists places, it can take us places. So we're definitely utilizing social media as Instagram as the backbone for Moody, and just like basically just showing our day to day, for the most part, on days we have energy to do so, with the world and see where it takes us.
And I know how this feels when someone says this, because I suffer with this a lot as well, and sometimes I don't even know how I have these conversations with people, because it feels like such a, when the time comes to actually do it, it just feels like such a chore mentally or whatever. I start to get anxious and worked up and irritated, and then I don't want to do it. I think something that a lot of people would probably love to see from you guys is some form of, I don't want to call it a vlog, but like to actually maybe see somewhat of a longer form of what goes on with the process. Because I think you mentioned earlier, watching a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I really think that's starting to make a huge comeback now, where people, like, there's YouTube channels now that are releasing the commentary tracks from movies from 20, 30, 40 years ago, and like these things have millions of views. And I think that that's becoming a big thing, is like the behind the scenes kind of people are fascinated by the reality of it, I guess, because it's nice to say like, oh, I want to be a movie director, or I want to be that guy, or I want to be this guy, and then you don't really see the reality of like how it actually is day to day. I think that's something that would probably be welcomed.
Yeah, we have like a sub channel on Instagram called Behind the Silicone that we try to throw in some behind the scenes stuff that's not on Moody Pudding.
It's more like behind the. What should we do? Like more sculpting stuff though. Behind like I don't know. I don't know.
Whatever you want.
Again, we should probably do one of those things where it's like, what would you guys like to see? Yay!
Yeah.
I don't know.
The poll. Make a poll.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I never even knew you guys had a. I'm just looking at it here. Yeah, like it's that kind of stuff, because I feel like people love that.
Sorry, I thought you cut out. Sorry.
It did. The screen froze for a second on my side.
I'm so sorry.
Technology.
But it's nice to be doing this, though. I've never really done anybody else's podcast before. This is really nice. And I was just trying to figure out where I was going with that other thought. Oh, no, we should be implementing more in that, but I see a lot of people doing those, like, what are those things where they, like, twinge, where they'll do stuff and people will, like, watch them video game, or people, or Twitch.
Yeah.
Sorry. Do you see? I don't do the social media clearly.
Like twinge.
I don't know. Okay, so that thing. Yeah, we could do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of time, because a lot of times people do things like that, and I feel like it's definitely lacking in like the movie / horror, that kind of realm. Every time I go on Twitch, every couple of months I'll like search stuff like that, and I can never really find anything. And a lot of people, I think, just want to hang out. They just want to, say if you guys are working on something or whatever, and you're just kind of chatting back and forth with the audience. I think a lot of people are just happy to do that.
Yeah, I've gone live a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun doing that, being able to like actually talk with everyone while watching like a true crime documentary on Netflix or something, and just.
I mean, this might be the fire under my butt, because this is honestly one of my first introductions back on screen. Is your video channel? So.
But he's pretty much behind the screen for the most part.
I have a few final questions before I let you guys go. And it was something I was fascinated with, and I don't want to, I guess, bring down the mood or whatever, but from a personal aspect, I think as well, and a lot of people who listen to the show definitely feel the same. You mentioned about maybe not wanting to do some of these things, or having to do this stuff, because it is, especially with the current situation with the NECA thing and stuff, it's like you want to talk about it, but then at the same time you don't, and there's probably a sense of like anxiety and nerves and just a general, maybe a not a good feeling around that whole situation. But how do you guys overcome, I guess, that because I feel like everybody probably in some way deals with it, and then some people are just really good maybe at overcoming it, but I'm always fascinated, because I struggle with it so much, that anxiety or imposter syndrome, or just not really having a dream and a goal and a passion, but then at the same time your mind kind of starts to like fuck with you and be like, no, you need to just quit, you're terrible at this, or you're too shy, or you're too skinny, or you're too ugly, or you're too slow, or you're too fast, or you're too whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think about like, what's the alternative? Like, what am I going to be? What would I be wanting to do instead?
Yeah.
Like, And it, I mean, you've either tried that or you will go and try it if you want. But like again, like I've been pretty consistent my whole life. So like if something feels like it's not working out or didn't work out or something, it's like either I have such a drive or aspiration for it, or it's already in my like interests category, so it's just there all the time anyway. You know what I mean? Like that's just enough to kind of keep you afloat. Stay with what you. I don't know. I didn't want to swear on your show, but stay with what you like. Like I don't know why. I really do truly believe people to stick with what they like doing, because
you might like it more.
You'll excel. Like you did, yeah. I mean, like, and we're not far above up at all. I mean, we're struggling small business. We are, but we won't be, forever. And like, that's the point. What else would I be doing? I want to be doing this, and I'll make it work. If it doesn't work this way, I'll make it work that way. And, I don't know. I just keep trying. I guess it's better than saying just keep trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And is that the same for both of you guys? Like being able to like push through that?
I push through all that stuff the best I can. It's funny that you mentioned imposter syndrome because I made a post about that not too long ago, about sometimes feeling like you have imposter syndrome because like online no one sees the other side of the camera after it turns off. So like it's like, am I really showing myself? It's like, well, yes, I am showing myself, but I'm not showing all myself. So I always have to make sure it's okay if I show like personal sides on Moody with him, because Moody was his baby first and I came in a little bit later, but now it's my baby. So he's just like, do it, it's your baby too. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So working through it.
Yeah, it's because it's something that people always ask me to ask. It's like about overcoming that, because I feel like so many people, I guess, suffer from that in various degrees, and I think especially in any creative endeavor, probably more so, just because it can be so unstable, and it can seem so like, yeah. And do you think that it's only people, does that weed out the people who are truly passionate about something versus people who see it online and just want to do it, in the sense of like, I've heard the expression, like people say, if you really love something or if you really have a dream or a passion, you'll be willing to eat shit for as long as it takes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But most of it's your own shit. I guess. So it's like, yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta eat it, right?
Because like, yeah, I mean, like really you do. Like you have to like, even in the hardest of times, you have to figure out a way to keep everything afloat. So you have to like be like, yeah, shit-eating grin all the time, but it's mostly to keep yourself up. It's like, oh my God, it does take a lot of work sometimes. Yeah.
And when you guys start to feel like that, then is there anything that you do to like I find personally I have a really bad habit of like my baseline is never at a constant, like even if it's down low, I have a really hard time keeping it somewhat consistent. I do these like massive nosedives where it gets to the point where it's like I don't want to do anything I enjoy anymore because it's just too difficult and I'm too down and I'm too. But is there anything that you guys do either together or separately, to kind of keep yourself, I guess, head above water?
I was diagnosed with BPD not that long ago, so it my emotions can be everywhere. So when stress is involved, I tend to break down a lot. If people don't know what borderline personality disorder is like it's just like you can't control your emotions and they're heightened in moments. And he helps me when things get too stressful and I become overwhelmed because of my BPD and my physical disabilities. He definitely like just keeps me calm most of the time. That way I can continue making these babies and whatnot to get our studio started even more so.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, it's funny being like agoraphobic and stuff too. When we had to go to court last time for our landlord slash friend, it's so weird to say. That was like that stupid little test, right? And like I had to go because I didn't bring it to myself. Like someone did that, and so I had to go, and I had my case with me, but though, you know, but I still had to do it, and it was horrible, and I hated every minute, but I was so prepared because my homework was done. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know yourself. I guess is that stupid to say too? I don't know. Know your own qualifications, because like the stuff that I didn't realize I could do until I was faced with it, I was like, wow, okay, you know,
Next.
right, because there was always a damn next. There is always a damn next. Never a break. But like, yeah, we did a lot. You just keep walking, or swimming, but like I like one foot in front of the other.
That is a big key thing, and it seems probably really cliche for some people, but it is such a.
It's
It
important.
really is, yeah. It really is important. Do either of you guys have a comfort movie or a comfort horror movie or a TV show episode or something that you will, maybe if you're feeling a bit down, a bit shitty or something like that, that you just find yourself going back to time and time again?
I have the weirdest like comfort shows because it can go from True Blood to The Golden Girls.
I like
So
that.
yeah, I don't know, but like God, you name it, I don't know. Most comfort.
I would say a comfort show for us together would probably be Schitt's Creek.
Nice.
But what about a
yeah.
horror?
A horror, I would say, we watched a lot of Hellraiser together, the old ones,
Yeah,
a lot.
yeah, I guess that would be.
I would consider one of those.
The original Candyman is very a comfort movie for me because I love the
Mhm.
dialogue in there. It's almost like ASMR or whatever they call it. It's like
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh God,
Is
that's a
there
good question. I want
yeah,
to think about
is
more.
there I hate asking the question like a favorite movie, but is there something when I say that term, is there something instantly that pops into your head, whether it's horror or not? Is there something like that sticks out as like, that's really my
Okay.
thing?
God, it would be like Death Becomes Her,
For sure, one of those.
Bride of Chucky, because that's what really pulled me into Chucky was Bride, and then
I love Big Business with
oh yeah,
Bette Midler and Lily
Mhm.
Tomlin.
and then I have Sid Batman Returns. I'd have to say.
Yeah,
because
That's a good one. That's a really good one, actually. Is there a piece of advice that you would give to somebody else, maybe who's in a similar position? Again, I suppose to be really specific, there's a lot of people that listen to the show that are aspiring actors, directors, writers, artists, sculptors, whatever it may be. And I think a lot of them are struggling because it is so difficult to try and see light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes, it seems like, well, and I think a lot of times it's probably exterior forces, maybe family members, friends, or whatever, that don't even realize sometimes that they're subconsciously making you feel like shit. About, well, why are you doing that? Like, you should just get a job at the grocery store and just like forget about it. And they don't
you just
even,
got to know they're wrong.
yeah, you don't even
You get
realize
the
it.
occasional, oh, that's just a hobby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or it's just a phase.
Yeah.
Well, like again, how many people are doing it? Like, so, like, you got to be one of the crazy people to like go and keep going in order to like outweigh the sane people, right? Because the sane people are the ones that say, what was that quote? Something, but the sane people are the ones that say, I'm done, this didn't work. I'm going to do something else that works. The crazy people are the ones that I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to keep doing it. And until I'm running into a wall, though, I'm running into a wall. But you do it until one day you say, I did it, you know, or like, so like, I don't know. You got to know they're wrong. If you love what you're doing or you love what you do, you have to just know they're wrong. It doesn't matter anyway. Like, who the hell gives a shit what they think? Do what you are like doing. Do you care? Like, I mean, God, if somebody told me don't buzz your head, I would do it because I'm so, like, no, no. Do you? I'm sorry. That sounds so trite, but sorry. Seriously, do you? I don't know. True.
Yeah, I think that's been lost more and more sight of as time has gone on. So we've talked a lot about, you know, what you guys do as regards work and careers and creatively and stuff like that. And I have one or two more questions before I let you go. And one of them was, what do you guys like to do for fun when you're not doing this? And I know like that this becomes all consuming in a way. You're constantly probably trying different things and back and forth with ideas, and I feel like it sounds to me like, you know, it's one of those things. It's really hard to switch off when you're passionate about something. It's really hard to just be like,
oh yeah,
and turn. I wake up and the first thing I do when I wake up is go directly to Instagram, not for my personal stuff, but for Moody
work,
stuff.
Yeah,
I'm never on my personal accounts anymore, but like,
I don't know. I mean, because like, again, like it's I try to push myself to leave more too, to like get out and be more, you know, more like a person. And so, but like when we're not doing that a lot, he's in a lot of pain most of the time until this upcoming thing for his stimulator. But so it's like we don't often leave, and if we do, so like we're usually working because there is just always work to do. But when we are taking a break, it's just like, I think
Smash
it's just
Brothers,
Smash, or to like watch a movie and eat, and just talk while we eat, and then like we're immediately back to like doing what we're doing. I don't know. I mean,
it works for us.
We just try to not I mean, like, again, like we like what we do, so it's important that we don't lose the train of thought that if we like what we do, don't mess that up. You know, we always have time for each other. We'll always make sure that there's time for each other, and to talk if there's something important.
Yeah, because I was my reason for asking that was, you know, because, and I feel like definitely the whole COVID situation probably hasn't helped a lot of people, you know, maybe in compounding those feelings already, and like just from a personal standpoint, I definitely felt that, like, that it found it way harder to try and like reinsert at all, to do anything. And I was just kind of fascinated by, you know, if you guys are at home and you've got all this work and stuff, how easy or how difficult is it to kind of maybe at times go, okay, look, we both need to put this down and we need to just like decompress.
I think
that's the hard part, is decompressing, for sure.
Yeah, because like you usually just keep going until you're like hurting. Like until your fingers hurt, or until his hand hurt when he can't work anymore, edit a video, or like whatever it is. I don't know, because like it's just like we're just always working.
We'll have time to worry about decompressing when we find the right help, I think. That way, like, even though that when we stop, things are still going, even though we stop for a few hours or for a day.
I mean, that growth will happen one day, you know. Just stay sane until you can.
And before I ask the final question, so you guys are actively seeking help?
If people want to help us, we're seeking people to help us with production and other projects in the background, for sure.
So is there somewhere, because I don't want to I guess jump ahead and say something if it's not the case, but is there somewhere that people can reach out if there's other creators, artists, sculptors, whatever they might be out there who would love to maybe help or, do
Yeah.
something?
The best way to reach us with the fastest and best way is Instagram or email, which is Moody Pudding Studios at Gmail.
All the links will be down below on YouTube
Thank
and
you.
everywhere else that this is anyway. So for anybody who is listening or watching this, make sure that, if you are or if you know someone, this could potentially be an opportunity for you to get to do something that you've wanted to do. My last question is normally always why horror and what does it mean to you? But I don't know, is that too confined for the conversation we've had?
I love it.
I don't think so,
No.
because I think our shtick is gonna end up being like cute horror. He's the horror and I'm the cute side of it, I guess, or
I don't know,
because
but
he's the horror freak. I'm just starting to get into horror a lot more.
well, I God, again, like Tales from the Crypt dragged me into horror real fast. And it was that, John Cassier's voice, he does the voice for Buster Bunny, too. So it's like hearing that coming out of that puppet at 3, it's like, it was so ridiculous, but like scary, but not that like, it was the perfect, it was the perfect recipe to get me into it. And they did that. I don't even know if they did that intentionally. It was so beautifully done because back in the 1950s, they banned all those comic books because they didn't want their children reading them. And this was like a big, FU to those people back in the 50s, like, Tales from the Crypt standing up for what it really is, saying, like, guess what, we're doing round 2, but we're still fighting. And it was like, yeah, we're going to suck kids back in, but this time it's the show. And kids are going to watch it while their parents are out partying or even babysitting, And it was just a wonderful, everything just seemed like that show was just, that was my, but why horror to me, honestly, and I'm sorry, I don't want to take up any more time, but I just want to
No,
say,
of course.
psychologically, is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. To me, it's like, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, but it is like very therapeutic, because it's sort of like, you don't know what death is or you don't want to go near it, but like every time you watch it, you're experiencing that without actually it happening to you. But it's a visceral experience to sort of, I think, deal with that kind of fear. And that was like, anytime I'm feeling that way, if you watch something like that, you're always walking away from it thinking, well, at least it's not that bad. So
Yeah, it's that thing of I always found that as well. It's like without even realizing that's subconsciously like overcoming something that's like, I guess you're in the control of your home or your bedroom or you're sitting on the couch, but being able to like go through that journey and kind of overcome it without any real like danger.
right.
I think is something that's cool. But to touch on that, and you talk about Tales from the Crypt and things like that, and that's what I think is the underplayed part of what you guys are doing and what you plan on doing, is that by creating this stuff for people and putting it out there into the world, they get I guess the like a tangible physical form of that feeling to a degree, like the feeling I get when I watch movies that I have like memories of and all this nostalgia for. When I can put my hands on something that's like a physical thing, then that only just furthers, like, as you can see from the wall behind me, like it's that thing I can come in here and like look at that stuff, and that's like my safe space. And I think that's something that is incredible about what you guys are planning to do and have done but are planning to do going forward with all of this stuff. I think sometimes it's lost on people to think, it's just dolls or it's just, props or replicas or toys or whatever it might be. It's, it's no, like you said before, oh, no big deal, who cares? But I think to a lot of people, it's so much more than that, and that's something that I think you guys should be proud of, and I'm actually excited to see what happens next.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, this has been. I don't want to take up any much more of your time because I was planning originally to do like 45 minutes, and then I found myself babbling. I would love to do this again down the line. If you
Definitely.
guys would be up for that, maybe the
Yes.
second half of the year at some point. Well, maybe you'll have more stuff that you can announce or talk about that you're working on behind
Moody
the scenes.
story. Definitely.
Um, but yeah, like I said, it's been fascinating to talk to you guys. All the links for everything will be down below for everybody who is listening. If you're watching on YouTube as well, just hit the description and everything will be down below. And yeah, thanks guys. It's been a pleasure for me. A lot of times I have these conversations, somebody might suggest a person, or people might reach out and be like, oh, you should talk to this person or that person. This was more of a I guess in a selfish way, like a personal conversation I wanted to have. But I just think it'll be really nice for people to be able to hear, um, I don't know, the
I hope.
real side of things.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I hope I answered everything. Because I don't want to. Yeah, I'm always open to answer questions that
I,
you
I
know.
think, and I think that's what was really fascinating about this conversation. Not so much even about that whole ongoing situation with NECA or anything, but just more about just, I guess, the people behind the the art. I think a lot of times is lost, and I think people really resonate with that when they get to see that in front of them, or they get to hear that and they go, "Oh, I was feeling like shit too, but that person said they're also feeling like shit, and I thought they had the perfect life, and
You're
now."
right. Yeah, don't. I hate that. It was a Jim Carrey or somebody who's like he's against the taking selfies because he's like it sends people a false impression that you live in that moment all the time. And it's like, yeah, it's true. No, and that's why it's like it's hard to grow. That's why if we grew, we always had this plan to give back. All right, let's invest in other artists now, or you know what I mean? Like that is our thing. We want to do revolutionary shit. We just do. So and not this crooked, way that people do stuff. I want it. I don't know. I just want it to be different and new and fresh. And if people have so much power they don't even know it. And when you start to be able to block down and bust down those entities that are in your mind, the big bad monsters that are these entities that haunt you, you could breathe a little better, and and you can actually do it. You can do it. So it's like, all right, what else?
You just gotta do it.
Yeah.
So
That was a much better way of ending the show than I was gonna do. So I think we'll leave it at that. That was like something like a quote from a movie.
Ah.
That was good. Like I said, it's been a pleasure, guys. I
Yeah.
definitely want to keep in touch, and I would love to do this in the future.
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.